Hey folks, this is Riker, simultruning to Twitch and YouTube today on day 2 of the PTR for Season 8. How's everybody doing today? What's going on, everybody? Muffin Proof, what's up? Kiskaloo, how you doing? Growmass, hey, Lockmaster, yo. Dawn of the Hunt, oh yeah, Toxmod, looking forward to that. King Furex, what's going down? Good morning, Geeky. I'm doing well. Yeah, so PTR treating me good so far. We'll go over our current experiences here in a bit. Yeah, I'm given to understand that the Uber Belial fight is deliberately not in the game until the character boost. My thinking is that this is because it's locked behind the quest, the seasonal quest, which is currently not available. Which is normal. They normally don't make it available during PTR. So you got to boost past the seasonal quest, which again only becomes available probably tomorrow is my expectation. But will there be D&D stuff today? We might be able to talk about D&D today. I guess it'll come down to how quiet things are. If we find a quiet time, I guess. If chat's very active. It's going to kind of come down to the whims of that. The ideal time would have been Monday. Remiehneppo, howdy. Omni, hello. Ruben, what's up? So we're playing a Necro today. We'll explain in a bit here what plan for today is and what a little summary of yesterday. Nicholas, how you doing? I am for my Necro. I'm following. So I'm leveling up a Necro via Blood Surge. Going mostly by the max roll guide, but a little bit of changes based on what I'm finding. Could go over that in a bit here. Ciao, cappuccino, come stai? Argos, how you doing? Good evening, Olati. What's up, Bison? How's Barb looking for Season 8? That's a good question. And, I don't know the answer. I've been focusing on the early game experience for now. I hear that a Burn Barbarian is actually crazy strong with Andariel's power. Yeah, so Gromass noticed a difference here. I think we ended stream yesterday. I was level 24, perhaps-ish. I'm level 44 now. So, I played off-stream for, I think, less time than I streamed, and I made significantly more progress off-stream. Funny how that works. How you doing, Curious? Even Rax made a notice of LD versus PV2 drama. Oh yeah. I mean, everyone. It's very blatant. Yeah, Rob would be the Barb guy to ask. April's gonna be packed, absolutely. It's very unfortunate. We got last Epoch, April 2nd, and then April 4th, we have the Huntress and PoE 2. That's unfortunate timing. And then April 29th, we have Season 8 of D4. And then April 30th, I think, we have, or even the same day, we have the No Rest for the Wicked update. Man, very unfortunate timing there. Couldn't have been spread out a little more. Burn Sorcerer is 10 times stronger than Burn Barb. Alright, so Sorcerer's in very well in Season 8, looking like. I mean, obviously this is PTR and things are going to change before launch, so that's the thing to keep in mind. Is there other ARPGs coming out at the same time? I'm not aware of anything else other than those 4 that I listed happening in April. There won't be a new tier list, so we are in the PTR phase right now. This is the testing phase, so it'd be useless to do any kind of tier list right now because the devs are collecting feedback. We're day 2 of the test server. Anything OP ought to get nerfed. Things that are underperforming hopefully will get buffed. But my focus so far has been on the early game leveling experience because one of my gripes with Season 7 was everything too fast, all at once, too much. That it kind of lost all meaning and fun for me, personally. I know it was a lot of fun for a lot of other people. So, if you were those people that liked that and things are less fun for you now, sorry to hear that. Jester, 2-month resub. But, so, again, yesterday on stream I leveled from about 1 to 24. Off stream I leveled up to 44. I was doing stronghold leveling, which went very fast. So what we learned yesterday was the seasonal activity, not very good for leveling. Also not very worth, in my opinion, doing. What I did do, however, was another world boss. World boss is very worth doing because the world boss powers are pretty useful. I really like Avarices. I got Ashavas as well, but Ashavas is really just if you're working a dot into your build. So I'm sticking with the Avarice one for now. All of these seem pretty much useless that I consider a waste of time to have gone for. Even as supporting things, I think this was a waste of time. So my current plan for next season is to not bother with any of these and just do the world bosses when they pop up. But you can see right now I'm fully decked out on legendaries. I found one unique, and it was an exciting moment to find that unique. And that is significant. I felt emotion when I saw it drop. It wasn't just, oh, another drop. It was, oh shit, my first unique. And it was just kind of randomly. I was like running to an objective and incidentally killed some monster. And then I almost lost it. I saw it on the minimap. I'm like, yo, wait a minute. And I came back for it. And it was the Ring of Sacrilegious Soul, which is, hey, great. At first I thought, like, oh my god, did I get a Ring of Mendeln? It wasn't, but hey, this is still really good. Right? +1 to corpse skills, 2 to Grim Harvest, raising skeletons, corpse explosion, corpse tendrils. Awesome. I'm never having to raise skeletons. I'm never having to corpse tendril because it's just bopping it. It's also pretty dang good rolls. Look at those rolls, dude. Because you want low rolls so that it's happening more often. Those are really good rolls. Anyway. Legendaries, not raining for the sky. I'm fully decked out on legendaries, but not because they're plentiful. I enjoy the pace of item drops. I'm not constantly, like, running back to town because there's so much stuff. I'm not leaving stuff on the ground, right? To me, that's important, right? If you're just constantly leaving drops on the ground, that's not a good state of the game. Especially low level, right? You should care to pick up stuff. That said, obviously, I'm not wearing any blues. I'm not even wearing any yellows. So I think that says something. And it's not because I'm imprinting constantly. I've imprinted 2 things. So I think their objective, or, you know, whatever they did with blues and yellows to try to make us use them more, in my opinion, not working. I don't super care. It doesn't really, you know, make a difference to me, but at least at low level. Because there's not so much garbage dropping that I'm inundated with stuff, right? I'm getting stuff at a slow enough pace that I don't mind picking it up and salvaging it. For now, at least. Obviously, that's going to change once we get to endgame. So I'm a little pre-disappointed, but I guess we'll see when we actually get there. I don't want to pass judgment yet. Playing a Barbarian, lunge charge, is crazy burning fun. Noise. Yeah, Blood Surge is like... it's been a staple for leveling. But I think I'm going to move into, like, a minion build at late game. We'll see. We'll see what items drop, I suppose. You're going to try spin to win? Nice, Omni. What's up, Flame Mage? Hey, cheers, man. Glad you enjoy the videos. They're very... Yeah. So the news videos are very Diablo-centric. Unfortunately, so... I used to title the videos with, like, more, okay, so here's the great dilemma, right? For me, the ideal would be to say, weekly news wrap-up video, issue number 387. That's actually a correct number. Because that's my internal document naming. You know, news 387 is what I call my research documents. Unfortunately, no one's going to click on a video called... Weekly Gaming News Roundup, issue 387. So, you gotta come up with a name. So, I used to do, okay, I would try to have, like, 3 topics in the YouTube title. And it's like, oh, well, no one reads past the first 5 words. So, it's just, like, diluting the impact. So what I eventually arrived at is just picking one central topic to frame the title around. And it's just what works best. I'm not happy about it, you know, in the same way that I'm not happy, you know, not to say it's clickbait per se, but like, it's part of the YouTube game, and it's either you play the game or you lose. So, there's concessions that we gotta make, and the best I can do is do it with as much integrity as I possibly can, without, like, falling into outright clickbait garbage, you know. Ruben saying it was kind of slow at first, then once you get fire powers, things really start picking up. So what are the fire powers we're talking about here? What are these fire powers? Are you saying these, like the blue fire powers? Is that a thing? Hey, cheers, Bazaki. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, so Diablo 4 has become increasingly like Diablo 3. Philip, I'm doing well. And I hope you are doing well too. Appreciate ya. So I've not tested anything other than this character right here. I am testing the leveling process because that is very important to me. I haven't tested endgame stuff. Once they enable boosting is when I'm going to start checking out a bunch of endgame builds. Exactly, Hibbity. Don't hate the player, hit the game. Hey, have a great one, Flame Mage. Cinerate Flames. Cinerate Flames. Using a mobility skill burns close enemies. Interesting. Okay, well, I mean, that tells me if it's seen as OP, then they're gonna bring it down, right? Okay, well. Interesting. Oh, because some classes can stack more mobility skills, right? Death Miss, 73-month resub. Hope you're doing well, man. I've been getting a lot of crashes on PTR. No Rest for the Wicked has a bit different audience compared to both D4 and PoE2. This is true, yeah. So, I think Last Epoch is unfortunately going to be very hurt by PoE2. I don't think No Rest for the Wicked is going to get hurt by D4. D4 seasons have a timetable aspect to them. It was delayed. Oh yeah, so there's... In no universe did they delay the season of D4 to hit No Rest for the Wicked, because we don't even know when No Rest for the Wicked was doing its thing. Like, it's impossible that they planned it that way. Are you a fan of, or what is your opinion on original RoboCop movies? I just recently watched a clip from some, I don't know, fan thing where RoboCop shoots off a guy's member, and it's like an extended scene, a fan-make extended scene where he's like doing it to like 1,000 guys just keep coming out of the scene, and he's just shooting off pricks left and right, and it was hilarious. I want to keep Skeletal Priests, and all that I want to keep for sure. So that's fine, we'll just salvage it all.
Damn this old me.
If you stay out of Helltide, you won't crash. Oh, interesting. I've been... Oh. Maybe I crashed while I was traveling through Helltide to get to a stronghold. Interesting. Ah. Ha ha ha. Yeah, so I still haven't had a chance to check out the Wicked Inside from yesterday, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. Is PvP a thing? Is PvP a thing in Diablo 4? It exists, no one does it. So it is not a thing. Best way to level up right now on PTR seems to be the campaign. Rax said it only took him 30 minutes more than last season to level to 60 on a fresh character, and he had a lot of crashes during the testing, so it might be almost even time, at least from his blaster perspective. He was doing the campaign, though, and I don't see how the campaign would have been slowed down at all, is the thing. I wonder what non-campaign leveling speed would be, though. Because it does feel like non-campaign leveling has slowed down. I need to restart stream. How you doing, man? Yeah, I mean, we can go full clickbait with... You won't believe what Trump just did to Blizzard. Yeah.
Look around. What do you see?
But yeah, stronghold leveling still very good, I've found. I did a bunch of strongholds. Most of them, I would say. The Nahantu ones, I think, just take way too long. I tried to do a, Undercity run. It just takes too long to set up Undercity, I feel. You gotta do like a million side quests and stuff. Even then, I don't know that, unless you have like a really fast build, mobility-wise, I don't know that it's really worth doing Undercity.
All these numbers are so boring.
Okay, can't afford that yet, but that is fine.
You'll never make a living if you don't learn how to balance a book, Faye.
I guess.
Jeez, trying to teach his young daughter to balance books. Poor girl. Already becoming an accountant. Alright. Now do I have enough? I do. Movement aspect cache. Blighted ring. Maybe I should hold. I think I'm gonna stock up. Yeah. We'll stock up. Just have a thumbnail with Bobby shaking hands with Trump. That's a good thumbnail. That's a good thumbnail. Okay, what's the fastest way to this freaking stronghold? Probably from here. But like this, I guess here it's gonna be like, no, there's no connection, huh? I gotta get that one is the problem. We'll just go from here, I guess. How you doing, Flexible? Down this way, okay. I absolutely will be playing Last Epoch Season 2, yes. Very much looking forward to it, which is why I'm very disheartened that we have the Huntress launching at the same time, because I was super looking forward to playing the Huntress and PoE 2. So, definitely gonna play minimum 2 days Last Epoch, and then I guess we'll kind of play it by ear on whether we jump onto PoE 2 right away or hold off PoE 2. Do I think Season 8 will be the best version of Diablo? Well, there's two ways to interpret the question. The first is, do I think it'll be the best season? And I think right now, I don't know that I would say it's the best season. I think Season 7 is going to remain the best season. I could be wrong, though. So Season 7 brought us Witch Tide and Witch Powers. And the Witch... whatever, dungeon things. Season 8 is bringing us... boss powers... and the incursions. I think the incursions are less fun than Witch Tide. And I think the boss powers, while some of them are a lot more fun, a lot of them are less interesting, or I don't know. I don't know that I would say it's significantly weaker. What? I did this one. Did I not do this one? Oh, my game crashed while I was doing it.
I'm just here for the food, and there's no one in here but us chickens.
How you doing, Daniel? 94 months. Now that said, game balance will probably be better in Season 8. So the core game, especially with the changes to bossing, the core game will likely be better. I'm not sure if the season will be better. So I personally think that I'm gonna like Season 8, the overall state of the game, significantly better than Season 7. Because it's more in lines with my taste. I did this one. I know I did the Stronghold last night. I guess if I still get the XP for it, I'm fine. It's like I got rolled back or something. It's weird. Yeah, Season 8, Season 7 rather, was kind of this weird step back for me with regards to the core state of the game. I felt like Season 6, the game had reached, like, you know, its peak in terms of just the core game. And then Season 7, for me personally, just kind of took all the hard work that had been done over the past 3 seasons, or 2 seasons, and just threw it all out of whack. This feels, again, on a preliminary basis, we'll see at endgame. On a preliminary basis, it feels like we're getting back to normal now. I did this guy. I did this guy. So I'm not using any yellows and blues. In my opinion, they're not really fixed. But that's fine. Like, they're just fine. Like, I'm not wearing any yellows or blues. But loot isn't dropping in such abundance that I'm, like, having to leave stuff on the ground, and I'm only picking up legendaries. That said, I'm not asking them to make blues, you know, good items at low level, so I'm just saying their objectives seem to be to do that, and I'm not getting that. That has not been my experience that blues are useful right now. It's a core skill. Oh yeah. Hell to the yeah. Yeah, Stronghold leveling's still really good. But why? What was there in Season 5 and 6 that wasn't in Season 7? So, starting with Season 4... Season 4 was the core rework to itemization. Season 6 was the core rework to progression. So by Season 6, the state of itemization and progression was really good. The pace of leveling, the pace of getting drops, and all of that, right? We had spent Seasons 4, 5, 6 moving the game into a place where just the core game felt good. And then Season 7, all of a sudden, drops are raining from the sky constantly. There's so much loot dropping that it undid a lot of the Season 4 stuff. The Season 4, one of the core points was less stuff is going to drop, but the stuff that's going to drop is going to be better. You're not going to have to... I think they literally said you won't have to sift through sand to find, you know, the gems. And Season 7 brought us right back to... Everything is garbage, and you're ignoring so much that's dropping because so much of it is just trash that you can't pick it all up and go back to town every 2 minutes. And then again, just pace of progression, like power creep went out of control, and we were leveling super fast, and we're just progressing through everything super fast. Half of players got to Torment 4, when Torment 4 was supposed to be like a much harder thing and would take longer to get to. It would be more meaningful to achieve reaching it. So like to me, literally Season 7 to me felt like I was playing Season 6 with cheat codes on. Like back in the day in D2, you know, you would install like drop mods or something. Like you'd have like the Jamela character editor, and you would like give yourself whatever items, or you know, power yourself up with a bunch of skill points, and then you would install a drop mod that like whenever you open a chest, like 3 unique items drop out. It literally felt to me like I was playing the game with cheat codes, which is fun for half an hour, but then once you get everything that you want constantly, you know, when you're getting too much dopamine hits, your baseline tolerance of dopamine rises. You know, it's like a drug, right? There's a reason, you know, drug abusers have to get higher and higher and harder hits, because their body, it's called hedonic adaptation. You become accustomed to the new level, the new baseline level of dopamine reward. And then it's not exciting anymore. And then it's also very difficult to go back, is the other issue. Very difficult to go back. Okay, I think I have a Semlum. I do. I don't have a Seergar. I have a Seer, but not a Gar. If blues get fixed with +2 affixes, they could use tempering, in my opinion. It's a shame. I definitely don't want to see blues and yellows used, like, in endgame. If there's some use for them, you know, pre-endgame, I'm fine with that. But I don't super care to make blues useful at this point. Was it D3 or D2 where blues were good? Blues were good in D2. So in the role of blues in D2 was that they rolled with fewer affixes, but the role that, let me see, we'll draw this out. Okay. This is the power curve of a yellow item. So these are the potential affix ranges on a yellow item, right? A rare. Where, you know, very rarely will it drop the highest. Most of them will be kind of in the middle. On a blue, it was like something like that, where basically the point is a blue item could very, very seldomly roll with a higher stat than a yellow could possibly roll. Most of the time it rolled lower, but on an exceptionally rare roll, you can get a higher stat. So for the average player, you wouldn't care about blues. For a player going for a hyper-specific build optimized to reach specific breakpoints, getting this GG roll, like let's say you want to just make a meme character with the most possible magic find, you would need to do that with a blue roll. A maxed out blue roll, which would be higher than a maxed out yellow roll. You know, it could be attack speed breakpoints, it could be whatever. But that's the key, is that for the average player, you don't have to look up blue items. You know that endgame blue items are not useful, but to a pro who has that specialized knowledge, you know that there is some small usage case where maybe you're going to be looking for that. And to me, that's a really good approach. This does not translate into D4, however. And I don't think it needs to. But it worked well in D2 for the reason that I outlined there. Second expansion, BlizzCon 2026 announcement, 99%. Oh god, I hope not. I certainly hope not. I hope we're getting third expansion, BlizzCon 2026 announcement. If we have to wait for second expansion announcement for a year and a half from now, that's insane. I think this summer we're getting expansion 2 announcement, and September 2026 we are getting expansion 3 announcement. Yeah, so I've not made reservations for BlizzCon 2026. If I get invited, I'll go. Otherwise, I'll watch from home. More specifically, Magic Find rolling 35% or plus skills to a certain element or skill set could roll +3 as opposed to +2 on yellows. Thank you, Passion, for the actual examples there. Yes. So you could only get +3 to certain skills on a blue item because yellows could only roll +2. Oricon saying, a good point about Season 7, but a major reason for the power creep were the witch powers. True. Anytime borrowed power is introduced, difficulty drops in Season 8 with its boss powers. Is it really going to be different? Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see, because they also made the base game harder, is the thing. So, Torment 4 in Season 8 is going to be the equivalent of 11 pit levels, I think it was 11, at least 11 pit levels higher than it currently is. So that by itself, and the pit itself, is scaling 20% faster. So even if we had a repeat of Season 7's theme, the game is going to be just harder in Season 8. +3 summon skills, blue amulet, boom, there you go. There you go. What's up, Daily Cash? Did I see the article where Rod said D4 might not be an eternal game that they initially planned? Yes. This article is from like 3 weeks ago or something. Do you think the next expansion might be the last? I think it is possible. I think we are guaranteed a second expansion. I don't think we are guaranteed a third. I think it is possible. I think they are going to make that determination 1 week after the launch of expansion 2. If sales are great, they make expansion 3. If sales are underperforming, they cancel expansion 3 and move on to D5. Is campaign faster because they nerfed the kills for monster XP and the campaign is mostly quests? I think that's the assumption, yeah. How you doing, Joseph? Oh man, those shenanigans. How do you feel about them continuing to reinvent the wheel? Ladder bosses being renamed to lair bosses for Season 8? Lair bosses is a better name. In the same way that Mythic Uniques is a better name than Uber Uniques. But I think the overall point of your message, though, it does kind of feel like every season we are reinventing some part of the game. And I just look forward to the day when we're just done with that and we could just keep adding to the game instead of reworking the game. Like, every season I feel like, I think every season since season 4, I've been like, okay, we're done reworking the game. Now let's just build on this. And every season since, it's been, okay, now we're reworking this, and now we're reworking that, and now we're reworking this. And I'm obviously the game is getting better because of it, for the most part. But I just long for the day when we're not fixing things anymore, and we're just adding to the game. Oh, man. Oricon saying an unintentional consequence of rebalancing the difficulty in Season 8 could be that once boss powers go away in Season 9, the game becomes even more difficult because the powers will leave a power vacuum. Yeah, so that 100% that's the case, which is why they basically need to set themselves up a formula where every season, the season power gives you a roughly 20% or whatever boost in power. And it's going to be roughly consistent, where they always kind of aim that the season power gives a roughly equal amount of power every season. Because then, yes, if one season does not give you any power boost, that's going to be a nerf season, and it's not going to feel good. Yeah, curious. Honestly, I'm surprised you stuck with D4 to this point. Leveling through campaign as the meta feels bad. Synchromass, I hope they make adjustments to the season theme so we can have fun roaming like last season. Because for now, the mini bosses and Belial fight in the open world is not enough. The pace is enjoyable too. I really feel like playing my character and not just speedrunning through my progression. Yeah, I like when the campaign is a viable way to level, but not the fastest way to level. Because then we just get into the same complaints, right? So right now, it does not feel like engaging with the seasonal activity is worth it at all until later in the game, which is unfortunate because I feel thus far they've done a good job of having the seasonal activity be a viable way to level. Neverborn, is this in Season 7? Morlock asking a good question here. So what are people in Eternal doing? Are they hitting a wall? That's a fair question. So, I mean, one could argue that on Eternal, because you're using the same character you've always been using, you have a much longer power progression curve. Such that, you know, in Season 7, let's say I reach Pit 100 in 2 weeks. On Eternal, maybe that takes you 2 months. You know, because the witch powers are helping me, right? Maybe on Eternal, it takes you 2 months to get to Pit 100. Or maybe it's an exaggeration, but whatever it is, right? Like, you have longer time to, like, perfect your gear and find the best gear. That said, I mean, at the top end, yes, it means Eternal players will never be able to do the same thing that seasonal players can do. Honestly, at this point, I'm fully in favor of having a sort of Eternal realm that gives you the seasonal theme. I think Eternal players should be allowed to enjoy the seasonal theme. And I guess that means needing to have a separate instance, I guess, for them. Because it is FOMO. I mean, we are literally getting content that non-Eternal players are not getting, and I don't want seasonal to get changed where you could import an Eternal character, because I think it's important that everyone has this fresh start in seasonal, but I also think that Eternal players should get allowed to get access to these powers. No, so part of the reason for not having the season themes apply to Eternal players was to not disrupt the integrity of the Eternal experience, but the Eternal experience is just fucked. It's been fucked every season. Every time they rework the game, Eternal gets fucked. Am I right or am I wrong, Eternal players? Anytime I go log into, like, my Eternal gear, I'm like, well, this build doesn't work anymore. This gear doesn't work anymore. All this has symbols on it saying antiquated and whatever, so it's like, well, whatever reason there was to protect the Eternal server from, you know, the seasonal things messing things up, Optical saying absolutely there is no Eternal, just a legacy trash bin. Eternal Hardcore is painful. Blues and D2 usually used to achieve max damage setups. Boom. Flexible saying, I think the biggest impact they could add is custom game starts. These would include options for solo self-found mode, and even difficulty and drop rate sliders. Cheers, Geeky. Appreciate ya. Nem saying, Pee-wee also had this sometimes where the league mechanic wasn't worth doing it during the campaign. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Often, I would say, not just sometimes. I found myself often in PoE being like, well, I'm not going to bother with the mechanic until later. Do you think there could ever be a balance between players who want to speedrun to endgame and farm endgame versus players who want the experience of leveling and all the difficulties it entails? Ooh. The answer ultimately is yes and no. So this is something we kind of touched upon last stream, but ARPGs are games that appeal to a much wider spectrum of gamers than I'd say almost any other genre of game. There is so many different kinds of people that enjoy ARPGs for different reasons. Whereas in a game like League of Legends, you're in a much more narrow band of people that play League of Legends. Like there's more people on an absolute scale, right? The ARPG genre is a small genre with respect to how many people play ARPGs, but the range of people is broader than almost any other game. You have people on the spectrum of wanting to play solo versus multiplayer, blasters versus casual, and not to lump, you know, like this is multiple axes of different things, right? You know, blaster, casual, solo, multiplayer, right? People want so many different things from their ARPG experience because ARPGs, people like different things from their ARPGs. And so the best Blizzard can do, or any ARPG dev, is either decide who this game is for and say, screw all the other people, and just make the perfect game for one segment of those people, right? That's kind of the approach of GGG. They very specifically know who their target audience is, and they tailor the game for those people, and that is why GGG's games are like the perfect games for the audience that they're tailoring it to. Blizzard's aim is generally to hit the broadest spectrum possible, which is why more people play Blizzard's games, but more people bitch and moan because it's not the perfect game for anyone. GGG's games are the perfect game for a small number of people, and Blizzard's games are an okay game for a larger number of people. So more people play, but no one is like, this is my perfect game. Everyone has some complaint or other. So the original question is, do you think they can ever make a balance between players who want to speedrun endgame and farm endgame versus players who want to experience leveling and all the difficulties it entails? So the answer is yes and no. Yes, because can they find a balance where they make both of these groups of players happy to some degree? Yes, that is what they do. Can they strike a balance where both camps are fully happy? No. Impossible. But I believe what their aim is and will remain is to keep every group of player just happy enough to keep playing and not so unhappy that they stop playing. That is what I think that their intent is. Oh, and I made a straw poll about whether people play Eternal or Seasonal. You can vote in the straw poll. You can see what them results are. So I haven't clicked on it, but my expectation is 90+%, maybe 95+% play Seasonal. Or did we do this? We might have done this poll in the past and it was like 85% Seasonal. Hey, Rob Tube, the estimate guy. How you doing, man? Tony's saying it's not a very good strategy. The game lacks identity. That's something that I felt for a long time, that D4 lacked an identity. I couldn't quite understand for the first 6 months to a year of the game, like, what is the identity of D4? It felt like it had an identity crisis. I felt like with Season 7, D4 had found its identity in just leaning into being the casual game for casual gamers, the casual ARPG, which is fine. It's not my preference, it's not what makes me happy, but it would make, at least it would serve very well the more casual crowd. That's why I'm very confused with Season 8, where now it's like, oh, they're making changes that are making the game more like what I like. I didn't expect this after Season 7. Oh, Alicia with a good point here. Eternal players do not buy battle passes, therefore they are not as important. So that's why, I mean, that's another reason why allow some kind of Eternal realm that gives you the season theme, right? So we have Eternal, we have Season, and then we have some third realm where where it's Eternal plus the season theme. And this way those people can buy the battle pass as well, right? Yeah. I guess there still is a list of reworks, right? Dungeons 2.0, World Boss 2.0, Nightmare Dungeons 2.0, Goblin 2.0, Strongholds 2.0, Legions 2.0, Eternal 2.0. Oof. Will Eternal get the new Uber boss? Yes. All the ladder bosses are a permanent addition to the game. How you doing, Pastori? Hey, cheers, Sacrifice. The only balance they'll see when trying to make both these camps happy is the balance between both these camps leaving the game. Morlock saying, I really wonder why they will not let people buy and complete past battle passes. Yeah, good question. Good question. I mean, I know some of it is to incite FOMO, but I guess what makes more money? FOMO, fear of missing out, and therefore people are more likely to buy the current battle pass. I mean, yeah, what about, like, new players? New players want to go back and, like, buy past battle passes? Yeah, why not let them? Alessio saying, if you're a D4 player who hated Season 6 and 7 due to the bugs, overpowered builds, and trivialized endgame, then Season 8 is for you. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. Slick saying, I'd rather they're doing away with current boss mats and introducing keys for bosses in Season 8. Do you think it would be best to use all those boss mats prior to Season 7 ending? Not sure if they'll convert to keys would be useless. No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I don't think they're gonna get deprecated. It's not that they're replacing the current boss mats. It's just those boss mats will now open the chest after killing the boss. At least that's my understanding. And if it doesn't work that way, I imagine they'll give some system to convert, but I'm not 100% sure. When are we getting Classic Realm? Yeah. Isn't seasonal content more attractive to hardcore players in general? Like to blasters in general? Yes. Yeah, you see, saying casual players probably don't create new characters all the time. I would agree that the more of a blaster you are, the more likely you are to play seasonal. And, like, let's say you have 1 hour a week to play the game, you are more likely to be an eternal player. And I would encourage you to be an eternal player, because basically, if by the end of a season you feel like you haven't had time to achieve your objectives, then you ought to be playing eternal. Which is why I feel it's unfair that eternal players don't get access to all the cool seasonal stuff that we get. Unless you're saying I don't think Classic D4 would be that popular. Yeah, I agree. You think they're going to put any Season Journey stuff in T4? That seems unfair if they're going to make T4 more difficult. So that's another kind of whiplash that I'm getting. They ought to not put anything locked behind T4 or incentivizing T4 if T4 is meant to be aspirational and only 10% of players are doing it. So there ought to be no Season Journey stuff in T4 if they only want 10% of players doing T4. Joseph's saying about Eternal, you gotta remember most people are working and don't have the time to open new characters every season, and most players think that it's double the work to open a new season character and start all over again. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know about most, I don't think it's most people, but there are certainly people that don't have the time to start, you know, a new character every season. I believe Season Journey is disabled on PTR. Yeah. So we cannot get a look-see there. Well, I guess I'll wait for that Helltide to be done-tied. How about this? Festering. If someone has only 1 hour to play per week, then they are not playing. They are cosplaying as gamers, just like any other hobby. Gaming needs time and dedication. I don't think that. Just like any other hobby, gaming needs time and dedication. So, I don't think that's fair. I think gaming has opened up more. Like, would you say that about watching TV shows? Like, would you say, if your hobby is watching Netflix, would you say you have to put in time and dedication to watch Netflix? I think it's okay to have games that people can play and not have to, like, invest themselves into. I don't think that every game ought to be tailored to accommodate that kind of person. But I wouldn't make just a blanket statement like that. It's very, like, gatekeepy. And it's not in line with how gaming has changed over the past 20 to 30 years.
Better than starting from nothing.
Ultima saying, I'm definitely a casual who creates a new character each season, but I'm unable to finish objectives before the end. I'd like to only play Eternal, but I'd be missing out on the new power systems introduced in seasons. Yeah, that's why, like, I think it'd be fair to, if there was some way for Eternal players to be able to experience season themes. How you doing, Sophie? So with T4 not being necessary, I'll never understand how you can be comfortable with that. To me, if I can't steamroll through T4, build is not viable. And that's especially true for me because T4 offers better drops. You'll get what you want on T4 faster than on T3. And in this game with so many layers of RNG and your gear progression, I have to save every minute possible. Well, I mean, we're in the 10% of players that ought to be doing T4, right? Shivel's saying, I was starting to make a whole thing about how Blizzard has been greedy, but I realized to me the problem of modern gaming and society in general is pacing. Every game or everything really has to be fast. We need super fast dopamine rush, and we don't know how to take time to enjoy slower paced games anymore, which is why often we don't understand what made D2 the mastodon it is. You touched upon something that is an unfortunate reality of our society. For those who don't know, Netflix, when it is building new shows, it's telling showrunners for new shows, when you're writing your script, have the characters say what they're doing. We've noticed that a lot of our viewers are on their phones while they're watching or otherwise distracted, and they can't follow what's going on if there aren't more obvious audible cues of people saying what they're doing. What we are seeing is a dumbing down of an art. This transcends video games. It is a sad reality of our culture in general. Our attention spans are shortening. Things, movies, games, TV series that were masterpieces 20, 30 years ago would fall on deaf ears to a generation of people raised on tablets and phones and who cannot pay attention to some singular piece of media for more than 30 seconds at a time without glancing at something else. We're seeing the destruction of art and the destruction of culture. And I'm afraid there's not much we can do about it. Other than make things, like, not, you know... Obviously, there still will be true art made, but that true art is going to be serving a smaller and smaller audience of people. What are some key points you like so far with noticeable changes coming to Season 8 in the current PTR? I am enjoying the early game leveling progression. And I like some of the boss powers. I want to see a Zoomer get through a 70s thriller, geez, right? Ultimate's text saying, meh, every generation says that. So, while it is true that you can look back historically, the introduction of the radio, you had people saying, oh, this is dumbing down our, this is dumbing down our youths, and then television, this is dumbing down our youths. You could actually go as far back as magazines. The introduction of magazines, people are like, this is dumbing down our youth. So there is some truth to what you are saying, that every generation says that, but that doesn't make it false. It is undeniable and proven through studies that our attention spans are getting shorter. It is true that Netflix is telling its showrunners to make its shows stupider, or at least in my opinion, stupider, by having characters explain what they're doing. I think that is... I don't see how that would be called anything other than taking away from the artistry and quality of something, where something that could be pure cinema cannot be, so that it is just appealing to the lowest common denominator. And it's not even because the people are stupid, it's just because they're literally not paying attention. Which is the worst. It's... Yeah. Remember Zagral? Who is Zagral? The final boss? Oh yeah, the final boss in the Dark Citadel. Beloved of Zagral. Oh, you killed Zagral's wife. How dare you. That's definitely true. So one of the problems of making T4 something that only the 10%ers can access means that far fewer builds are endgame viable for the 10%ers. Channeling my inner Martin Scorsese. Marvel films are not art. They're popcorn entertainment, but there is merit in popcorn entertainment. There is merit in popcorn entertainment. Are these boss powers more powerful than the witch powers? I believe some of them are, yes. A lot of the blue ones here seem like they're generally intended to be tuned to not be. But some of them do seem stronger than the witch powers. Grubby's saying it's the separation of society as mentioned in the book movie The Time Machine. Cattle versus those who eat the cattle. Use AI to check your answer, not do the work for you. Rip. Are they basing the Season 8 theme around Belial or quietly just sliding him in as an added Uber boss? What's known here? Yes, it is based on Belial. Yeah. Presumably the entire like narrative will focus on him, but yeah, he is super present in the theme activity. How do you pet the pet? You do this. You bring up your interact menu and you do hello.
Greetings.
And you see?
Aid would
Oops,
be welcome.
I want to zoom. Here. You do a hello.
Hello.
And he pets the little birdie.
Hello.
No, get back. Get back here. Why can't I pet my skeleton? I should be able to give a firm handshake to my skeleton.
Greetings.
Joseph's saying, I think if Blizzard would find the path to balance between both, it'll be a good move for the company. I like the season internal characters, but I think it would be a fine path to balance. Well, yeah, so that's exactly why I'm saying that I think it would be nice if they had some third realm for, like, Season Eternal, where you can make a character that... It's like a season that you could keep bringing your character into, basically. Heck, Amanda saying, my husband and I were talking about the issue of T4 being aspirational. A key issue is that if you want content that is meant for only some to achieve, it can be psychologically hard-boiled into the central structure of the game. T1 and T4 signifies a sequence of progression in people's minds that makes them feel like the game is not good if they can't progress through the full sequence. It may be better for the game to separate the aspirational content by giving it a unique name. I fully agree. That's an excellent point, Heck, Amanda. That's why before they said they were reworking T4, people were asking me, are you in favor of them adding T5? And my original answer was no, because what's next? In a year, we add T6, and then T7, and T8, and then, you know, eventually we're back to T20 Torment tiers, and I don't want that. The only circumstance under which I would accept a T5 is if you call it, like, the final Torment, or it's some mode that will be the final and highest difficulty. And I think it's also a good idea that, again, you separate it out where it doesn't feel like it's part of the natural progression, so that... Because I always ask, why is it that in Path of Exile, players are totally cool with not defeating Shaper and Elder? Like such a small percentage of players in PoE ever do the aspirational content, and they don't complain about it. And I think it's because they are able to separate it out more clearly as something that the average player probably doesn't even know it exists. Or, okay, I mean, in PoE, the average player is much more informed. It's not like dangled in their face, like, here's this thing you can't do, idiot. Like, you know, it's kind of hidden away. You almost have to go on a journey to even discover that this content exists before you can tackle it. Whereas, yeah, Torment 4, right there, obviously, makes you feel bad that you can't taste it if it's right there in front of you. That was the same problem with Uber Lilith. You literally got a freaking quest to go do Uber Lilith when it's supposed to be aspirational. So it makes you feel bad to see this quest in your quest log that you can never do. If Uber Lilith was some secret boss, right? Average player who's never going to be able to do Uber Lilith also will never learn about Uber Lilith, and they won't feel bad that they can't do Uber Lilith, and they won't complain that they can't do Uber Lilith. Texadar, 6-month resub. Appreciate you, man. It's why, like, you know, level 100 in D4 at launch I thought was meant to be aspirational. Then they start putting in Season Journey, reach level 100. I'm like, well, now it's not aspirational when you're telling us to do it. Now people are rightfully going to complain that they can't do it. Yeah, Mash and Bustos. There you go, man. Yeah. I want you guys, I want you Eternal players to be able to experience the seasonal powers. Apple saying, I'm not a fan of seasons. You make these characters and 3 months later you never play them again. Such a waste. That's why, it's also why, so for a lot of us, it's not a waste, it's a lot of fun. But for those of you who consider it a waste, I would like you to be able to experience a season, you know, the power of the season without having to make a new character, but also without ruining the seasonal experience for those of us who like what seasons are.
No other people I'd rather break bread with.
But you're saying if boss powers are more powerful than witch powers, then is it fair to say we're witnessing another power creep season? No, because the game is getting harder. T4 is 11 pit tiers harder than in Season 7. And the pit scales 20% higher. I think the average player will no longer be able to do a pit 100. And there's going to be a lot of complaints about that. Because Season 7 doing a pit 100 was pretty easy. Meaning everyone can level up their glyphs to max. And now people are going to complain that they can't level up their glyphs anymore. In my opinion. Curious, link me the Angry Joe thing. I'll watch it off stream. Emote wheel is still not fixed. Good spot there, Nem. Good spot. It's not just me having an aneurysm. Yeah, the emote wheel is not working properly. My boss power setup right now, it's just, again, I'm leveling a character, so it's Avarice. I really like this power, and the modifiers don't really matter. I got Crit Strike, Move Speed, Evade, but these are like 5%, 5%, 5%, like it's really not impactful at low level. But the boss power itself, once you get the world boss ones, those are impactful. See, look at these explosures. It's great. Mr. Go saying, that's a yes and a no to. We have TikTok, dumb shows, YouTube shorts. The inverse of that, we have long-form podcasts, The Wire, Game of Thrones, and countless other shows that are considered an advancement of their media forms and require more attention than years past. What examples would you provide that require more attention than years past? If you mention podcasts, I'll mention radio. Podcast doesn't require more attention than in the past. I would argue as well, the ability to pause things versus having to listen live and pay attention is by itself something that required far more attention. Game of Thrones is already 10 years old. We used to have TV shows, I mean... Also, the existence of a long-form content doesn't suggest that people are paying attention throughout the entire thing. Prime saying, I think Primal Directive. I think some of the apprehension that is reported on these changes that most players are on consoles and thus cannot actually experience the changes for themselves, leading to wariness. It's fair.
What is this?
Blood Maiden. Cost me 2. This here is slick. Let me a dumb question, but if you're not going to do the new incursion events next season, how do you propose to level the boss powers? Only later on. I mean, I'm going to do them. I mean, I'm not going to do them while leveling, is what I meant. Like, it doesn't feel like it's worth going out of your way while going 1 to 60 to do these. Pay attention to not get hit by her jump. he will fire. Get her? We got her. The manuals. Yeah, her loot has been nerfed. So I'm not going to farm her. I'm just doing it for the... bounty. How do we get harbingers to spawn again? Open tortured gifts. Okay, that's simple enough. Is the Blood Maiden now in random spots? Yes, that's been ever since Season 7, actually. Aspen brought back his own D3 trauma by saying they could call it Inferno. That was something, man. Inferno difficulty in D3, yeah. Oh, yeah. Something else.
Watch out!
Watch out!
Strike them down!
You think if Season 8 reintroduced leaderboards, then it'll be more popular than Season 7? Yes. I personally don't care about leaderboards, but I know a lot of players do. Or there are a lot of players who do. I don't know what that is percentage-wise, probably not the majority, but there are competitive players, and D4 is not really serving competitive players right now. Jim Big, 25 month resub, appreciate it, man.
We should get moving.
Let's see, is this blue axe better than what I have? Ever so slightly, but not enough for me to swap. So the avarice power is also making me gear slightly differently. I'm stacking essence per second because with this, when you gain excess primary resource, spawn a piece of ore. After 2.5 seconds, the piece of ore explodes, so I can do this. I'm instantly building back resource, and now I'm going to spawn my piece of ore. I don't? What? Wait. Hey. When you gain... Oh, now it's spawned. Okay, I guess it's on a cooldown or something. Well, anyway. You get the idea. That angel breath. Slay every harbinger you find. How do I find harbingers?
Is someone there?
randomized emote wheel is a feature, not a bug. It's more RNG in your ARPG. Alessio saying, there's also a large niche of D4 players who hate anything that has to do with co-op or PvP or anything social, play and avoid clans, and get angry when Blizzard does anything like the Citadel. This is true. This is true. But I mean, that was the core point of D4, was to be a more social Diablo game. Them saying, I mean, the Shaper versus Elder map fight was quite in-your-face content. Okay. So you think it's more just a separation in the kind of players that are being targeted? Hello. Just gonna go around grabbing. I love that we now have this right on the minimap. Free Subo for everyone is great. Subo gets the short end of the stick, but hey, sucks to be Subo, I guess. I guess it's not showing everything, just the flowers. Oh, are you a Harbinger? You're a Harbinger. Elder Hall. Butcher saying that's the problem with tiering content. Players expect that endgame is last tier, and psychologically you don't really care what happens until you finally reach last tier. It was much better when tiers had names, not numbers. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. It's true. True. Better here. Yep, we'll see if one day I actually equip a blue item. Okay, so here's the possible case. When I'm nearing level 60, I think it's once you get to levels 50, items start scaling up insanely, so maybe I'll get a blue weapon to drop before I get a, a rare or a legendary, but that's... I'd be surprised. I would be surprised. How'd you feel about a rework of the overworld, a new world boss, new events, and a rebalancing of rewards so that roaming the overworld or doing sellers is as viable as other activities? Yeah, I'd be in favor. I'd be in favor. The issue with the overworld is... Well, part of the issues in the past was like travel time stuff, but no, I think in general they've been doing a lot of good to reworks. Like, arguably the overworld in Season 7, right, the Witch Tide was amazing, arguably even too, you know, too good. So, I definitely think, yeah, things could be done there to make it More incentivized. Grumpy saying, so the Stanley Cup is there as a reward that many people can't touch. Are you saying we should just make the NHL easier so everyone can win the Stanley Cup? So I get what you're trying to do, but the analogy doesn't work because there's only one Stanley Cup. Like, not everyone can win this. Not every team can win the Stanley Cup. Theoretically, there's nothing stopping literally every Diablo player from achieving the highest thing. So we got to find an example of what you're saying that isn't exclusive and competitive, that people fight over. Gonna go Barb Mighty Throw. I feel like a system like Elden Ring would be the best solution, being able to summon help, either NPC or other players, like a matchmaking system but transparent. That'd actually be interesting. Imagine like you're trying to do Duriel by yourself, you're failing, and then you bring up the party finder and you're like looking for help and someone can just come in and help you. I mean, overall the party finder is like a great addition to the game. But I wonder if there's like a little bit more quality of life there that can be done to make it easier, but I guess with the party finders maybe not even really necessary. If you want to do Duriel, right, you can just find a party for doing Duriel. Okay, I wanted to go north here. Shavel saying, I think the problem is the difference between campaign and endgame and PoE or D2. Once you've done the campaign, you feel like you've done the game. There's more if you want, but you don't need to if you don't want to, and campaign is a full experience in and of itself. In D3 and 4, you don't even do the campaign. Thank God, they're so boring. You just do endgame content, which is just blasting monsters. There's definitely something to be said about when the end game becomes the game, then it does kind of feel like there's no end game. If you're kind of doing the same stuff from level 1 to max, and if the same stuff you're doing at level 1 is the same stuff you're doing at max level. It's not quite the case in D4 because there's a lot of content in D4 that is locked behind reaching level 60, right? Like you can't do lair bosses, you can't do, you know, there's there is content, but there's not as much of a clear separation, I guess. When you have the campaign, you do have the clear, like, this is the early game, and now I'm in the end game. Whereas, like, reaching Torment 1 isn't quite the same feeling of reaching an end game. Gromass saying, I want a new unique mode / difficulty with sword methodical combat, no insane density, no multiplicative BS power, where player skills recommended, basically what D4 combat should have been, accessible like any other tournament difficulty, same character and gear, just the overall math sound differently. Guess I'm completely delusional on this one. At least you're self-aware. Yeah, it's never gonna happen. ADRN saying, no idea if it's just me, but I don't really get hyped about new seasons in D4. I feel the idea of the new season content should be exactly that, bring new interesting and exciting stuff for the players, and with D4 I never felt that. I always felt it's remakes of older stuff, or very little new stuff that is not that exciting at all. Every season basically are bringing more or less the same stuff like older seasons. Maybe it's only me, but I feel this way, no idea. Yeah, no, it's not just you. It's like what I said about Season 7, right? Like, Season 7 was the best season theme yet, but it didn't feel exciting to me because it's basically just a rework of past seasons done much better, but it didn't feel novel.
Do this every day.
My health tide's buggered. It's not telling me how many things I have. It's buggered tide. How do you feel about a hard gold cap like 1 billion? The trading market is completely out of control at this moment. There is a hard gold cap. It's just really, really high. So how do I feel about them lowering it? Yeah, I don't really mind. I imagine it would be unpopular for a lot of people who play the trade game. I don't, so it's not really of a consequence to me. I'm still buggered tied. I think I gotta like port out and back in or something. Hopefully that fixes it. I'm collecting cinders for nothing. Pastore, I'm doing well. How are you? Okay, if I just go back through the portal. Please fix it. Please fix it. Please fix it. Yeah, it didn't fix it. Okay. I'm gonna go back into the other Helltide zone then, see if that fixes it. Do you think the game needs an auction house trade market system? If yes, do you think Blizzard will implement it? I don't think Blizzard will implement it because of the D3 auction house. Do I think it needs it? I don't think it needs it. But it is certainly the case that if you play the trade game in D4, you are going to be significantly more powerful than those who are not playing the trade game. I think to this point, D4 was so easy that it didn't really matter. But now with the newly scaled difficulty, maybe it will matter. And if it does matter, then the more it matters, the more I would want in-game trade. In-game trade house, sorry. I'm just borked. I'm just gigaporma borked. I can never see my freaking... I don't know how many cinders I have anymore. It's just borked tide. From a borked tide. Great. Great. I also thought I would get more. Well, I guess we'll find out. Do I have cinders? I do, apparently. Odds of a Diablo 3 Classic / Remastered in 2026. Oh man, that'd be funny. Mr. Cove saying, not more attention than years past. My point being that while we have many things that cater to 10-second attention spans, media forms that require much longer attention spans are thriving and growing as well. Are they growing? Do you consider a Twitch stream something that requires a long attention span? If someone spends 5 hours with a Twitch stream open, do you consider that something that requires a long attention span? So I think there's a separation between long-form content and content that requires a long attention span. How many cinders do I have? Who knows? Not enough. Okay. Not enough. As Paciente is saying, people don't realize that D4 isn't finished, meaning the act story. By the time they finish the story through the expansions, D4 will be a huge game with a lot to do at endgame. I mean, I feel like already the game actually has a lot to do at endgame. There's a myriad... Like, there's a whole lot of different activities that you can engage with. I think the reason there is a perception that there's nothing to do at endgame revolves more around the feeling that there's nothing really meaningful to do. Sure, you have, you know, 10 different activities that you can farm different things in, but to what end? There's really just, like, the pit as something to do, as something that is going to, like, really push yourself. Like, the only real reason to power up is to go deeper into the pit. And that's, like, barely a system. It's like the bare minimum kind of progression system you can possibly have. If we had something like mapping, or the mapping from PoE, the Atlas. If we had something like the Atlas in PoE, or if we had something like the Monolith of Fate in Last Epoch, I think people... You know, that would tie all the different activities that we had together. I don't think people would be asking for more activities. I think they'd be content with the number of different activities we have, and it would just be more, you know, they feel like, ah, well, now I have a reason to do all these different activities, because I'm progressing along something greater. So we got a Harbinger to spawn, huh? It's a good amount more power, huh? And oh, now we got enough cinders. And hopefully this brings us a Harbinger as well. Slay Harbingers, hooray, done. Fear Whispers, get. Oh, jeez, wow, that nearly killed me. Yo, that came close. Next wave, let's go. Bring it on. Hello? Hello? More monsters? No? Come on? Really? Alright. Champion, let's do it. Ow. Okay, I'm taking damage. I'm starting to take damage. I gotta start working on my survivability here. I do have some, like, lower level gear that I don't want to get rid of. Alright. Let's go. Tree. Oh, whispers. Kira's saying Season 8 does not look good for me. I actually just quit out of boredom at level 27 or 28. I don't want to play anymore. I wish there was some seasonal event or something to change my leveling experience a bit. Rip. Rip. And before the flower icons on the map is a bug from the last season theme. I think you might be right, to be honest. I feel like it's not intentional. Oh yeah, materials early on is a good idea. A 136 life. No, I like my core skill. My chest piece is holding me back a lot. That's the problem. Is the 2 essence per second really worth? I mean, what, I get 12% more life? It's not worth it. Forget it. Forget about it. Yep, not upgrades. Horicon, you're too kind, buddy. I appreciate you. You're too kind.
You can still use these.
Neverborn is saying, I have no friends, I can't be carried. The game is harder when you do not trade. Absolutely true, yes. Very true. Game is harder when you don't trade and you play solo. Absolutely. Oh, and yeah, so it goes without saying, when we were talking about adding an auction house, we meant gold only. Obviously no real money auction house. It's not even a... not even a possibility. Not even on the table as a thought. Rebby's saying there should be some levels in content that are for the best in the game and only a small percentage of players hope to accomplish. Yeah, I would agree. So we call that aspirational content. And I do think that is a good thing. I think the key is somehow framing your aspirational content in a way that average player is okay with never attaining it. That's the tough part. But am I having fun? I am having fun, actually. I am enjoying this leveling process. I'm finding this more enjoyable than Season 7 so far. I don't know what it's going to look like once we hit Torment. Alright, when's the next world boss? Should be coming up, isn't it? What's the next world boss? What the hell, man? Did I just miss it before stream started? I guess it's possible. Alright, I'm gonna go fill up on some water and I'll be right back. Maybe. All right, we are back. Curious wants improve the XP gain and make it so that relatively often the event also shows up as a whisper, so that we get some bonus whisper while doing it. Oh, for the open world events. Let's see. Do that. All right, go 3 here. Boom. When is this stupid health tide ending? Okay. I'm gonna try logging out and back in and see if that fixes my health tide. Mr. Love, you live up to your name, man. Oricon saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't aspirational content meant to have a reward? If Blizzard cranks up T4 just for the sake of difficulty without introducing a reward, then what am I aspiring towards? I mean, the reward is, it's more rewarding to play in T4. That's the reward. Tiger saying, aspirational content, late endgame activity caches with cosmetics and pets not found in the store. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. The only way to fix the health tide bug is to exit game. I can't even just have to fully exit the game. Okay, no, logging seems to have worked. Oh, good. Now that I know I was only missing one, I'll go, I'll go in my final moments to get another chest. Missing literally just one cinder. We'll go for that one. I guess I don't need to kill that guy because I've already got my quest. Alright, open the chest and peace on out. Boom. Yeah, Shadow Mage. So, and Dariel's power is overtuned. Are we expecting a nerf to it? I hear the burn sorcerers in particular are strong, are even stronger. How much is one? 22% damage reduction. That's significant. Yeah, we'll drop 1 essence per second for that. Okay. That is worth. That is worth. What I think the next class will be, I think it's going to be the Paladin analog. If I had to bet, it wouldn't be called Paladin, and maybe it's going to be called the Templar. Maybe it'll be able to use the Spear. I have a full video that I released about a week ago with my predictions on the expansion.
69. XD, no pun intended.
How you doing, Silvano? How do you feel about ranked PvP? Maybe they add WoW like Arenas Battlegrounds or League of Legends style mobile modes. I think that there was great opportunity to... Okay. PvP and ARPGs. I think that the best PvP scene we have ever had in an ARPG was in the Diablo 2 days, which is sad because the D2 barely had PvP. Right? We had low-level duels, that was community-governed, and that was the best PvP we've had in an ARPG. Nowadays, most people don't want PvP in ARPGs, and most people don't care to have PvP in ARPGs, and most ARPG players are not PvP players because ARPG games have not supported PvP well. So it's kind of like a chicken and egg situation where it's like, well, because you've never supported PvP, you build up a fan base of people over decades that don't care for PvP. So if you add PvP stuff, well, these people don't want that. I thought, and the big opportunity would have been at launch to do this, because D4 did have more effort put into PvP and having their PvP zones. I don't think that was a good implementation. I think arena PvPs was the key. Exactly what you're describing. Something more MOBA-like. There is a huge player base in League of Legends and Dota and MOBA games in general, and I think that translates very well to ARPGs. It's the same perspective. I think we saw this actually executed in Diablo Immortal. The first week of PvP in Diablo Immortal was actually really fun before the whales came in and the power differentials made a difference. But the core gameplay of PvP, team versus team with objectives, different maps with different objectives in Diablo Immortal was like my best PvP experience in an ARPG. Again, up until, oh, well now this one guy, the whale, is just good enough to wipe out a whole other enemy team. There's no point anymore. So that exists even outside of pay to win is the problem. If there would be PvP, I would like it to somehow be gear equalized. I think Lost Ark does it well. If memory serves me correctly. You have two PvP modes. You have regular and then you have gear equalized. And gear equalized is when it comes down to skill. And so I think that kind of PvP, they could have built up a PvP scene. Add that to D4 now, I think it's too late. But had they launched with that, they could have brought in a whole lot of PvP-oriented players that could have enjoyed that. And the sad thing is, some of the core and best members of the D4 team came from Heroes of the Storm. Adam Jackson, Joe Pipora, these guys were on Heroes of the Storm, which is my favorite MOBA. I loved Heroes of the Storm. So they had the talent. They had the talent to build this in D4, and they did not go that direction. Sag. Sag. Also, take on multiplicative damage. Is its existence a roadblock in balance? Most S-tier builds focus on stacking multiplicative damage, and uniques that don't have it are ranked lower. Yeah, so I do believe that multiplicative damage makes balancing easier. And it's all... Okay, so hear me out fully. I am in favor of multiplicative damage. Asterisk. Let me explain the reasons why I'm in favor of it. If an item tells me you're going to do 25% more damage, that's what it should do. I should equip this and feel 25% more powerful. It should not be, ooh, 25% more damage, and in practice it's 2.5% more damage because it's being added to a million other multipliers. And so I have no way without solving a complex math formula to figure out how much this is really benefiting me, and whether something else will benefit more, and therefore not even feeling the impact of the thing doing what it says it's going to do. I also think it's... that doesn't make it easier to balance. It's easier to limit player power with additive bonuses. Right? Because you can... You know, if damage is additive rather than multiplicative, then you kind of know, well, they can stack as much as they want, they're getting severely diminishing returns, and, you know... Oh, another 25% damage buff is only going to be, you know, another 1% actual damage increase. I just think that's less fun. It's significantly less fun and it's less clear for players. And therefore, I'm not in favor of that. However, what I'm also not in favor of is balancing the game via damage multipliers. Here's an item that does, I don't know, whatever, like... So, in D3... you start to get like, here's 1,000% more damage, here's 2,000% more damage, and that's just absurd. I think as long as the numbers remain reasonable, like, you know, like all these numbers seem very reasonable.
And then we doubled it.
This is starting to get maybe a little bit too much, but this is because it's on a two-hander, right? You know, you get 25% there, 25% there, whatever, right? Keep the numbers relatively reasonable. And yes, it all adds up, right? If you're stacking, you know, if you're stacking 100 there, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, 100, right? You've multiplied your power by a factor of 10, right? You're 10 times stronger from every piece of gear. So if you keep the numbers reasonable, I think multiplicative is okay. It's when you start getting these runaway numbers that it just gets crazy. And I guess part of the problem that dovetails into that is, well, you have so many slots now where you can fit, let's call it a 100% multiplier, right? Imagine you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's literally, I am now 10 times stronger if I stack a 100% multiplier everywhere there. And then I go into my Paragon tree, and every glyph is another 100%. So it just starts to mean that the difference in power between someone with gear and without, right, or with certain things and without, starts to get crazy, exponentially different. But again, you keep the numbers reasonable, and I think it's okay. What do you think about side quests? They're not rewarding. Do you still do them? I don't do them. That said, I don't know that... I don't want to do them. Let me put it that way. I don't want to do side quests, so I don't really care how rewarding they are. If they made them more rewarding, I think I'd be fine with that. What I would not want, I don't think, is for them to be the most rewarding thing. But if they're like... if they are a viable thing to do as opposed to a waste of time, then yeah, I think they should be viable. Oricon saying, so in other words, it would be best if it was only multiplicative damage so that when you equip it, it feels more impactful compared to additive damage, where after a while it's meaningless. So I think Path of Exile is a game that does the balance well, but PoE is also a game that is aimed at a player base that is more likely to crunch the numbers. I think in a game like Diablo, it's better if the damage is additive, multiplicative. I just think if something says it's giving you a 25% damage buff, that's what it should do, is what it comes down to. Especially in a game that caters to more casual players, I think it is going to be misleading and unfun, right? Like, imagine you swap for something out, thinking you're going to get a 25% damage bonus, and it's actually weaker than what you had previously, but you don't understand that because the game doesn't make it obvious to you. And you're actually nerfing yourself or making bad choices because you're not, like, doing the full math on what's going on. So does that mean that I'm always in favor of multiplicative? I'm trying to think of any additive damage cases that I would want to retain. I think I'm just in favor of clarity. Is what it comes down to. Travis saying, I personally want multiplicative damage only on the Paragon board, with all gear being additive unless a mechanic change makes it multiplied. Yeah, I get what you're saying. On the topic of Battle Pass and Eternal Realm, the genre's tied the season theme to the Battle Pass quests. That's another reason besides FOMO that forces people to do it during the season. True. It's a progression system built within the events of the season. What they should have done is a Battle Pass shared between Realm that you unlock with in-game currency like what Helldivers 2 has, and Season Realm gets extra rewards tied to that season theme, and obviously cosmetics should be in the shared Battle Pass. Yeah. Shivel saying, little test. Name me 3 monsters of Diablo 4 and what they do. Same with Diablo 2. 3 monsters in Diablo 4 and what they do. I don't know what they're called. The Ballista, Skeleton Ballista. They are those Ballista guys that one-shot you from off-screen. It's kind of cheating to say a Fallen, because it's a monster from other games. Goatman, same thing. The Drowned, I guess, is a monster type. What do? They shamble towards you and attack you, I guess? Oh, there's those fucking spiders that explode. I mean, your point is taken, though, Shavel. So, like, in D2, I can clearly remember my first zombies, my first quill rats, my first fallen shamans, and all that. I could clearly see them, their movement pattern, how slow they go, their attacks. I can hear their sounds in my mind. Ask me about any of that for, you know, D4 monsters, and it's much harder. What's up, the Viper? You've missed a lot, actually. You've missed a whole hell of a lot. If the last season you played was Season 3, yeah, starting from Season 4. Season 4 and Season 6 were ginormous seasons. 86% play seasonal, 14% are eternal players. Wow, that's pretty dang close to what I expected. Interesting. Would include Twitch streams, at least not the way I consume them. For example, I'm at work right now, I'm just listening. I do think podcasts, long YouTube videos, binging TV shows, and even blasting a video game all day. But so here's again the Netflix is telling its showrunners, in your shows, add dialogue so that characters are clearly saying what they're doing, or there's other audible cues. We actually see this in Arcane, where the music, if you watch Arcane, go watch Arcane Season 2, the music is basically telling you what the character is feeling or doing. The lyrics in the music. Now, Arcane manages to execute this in a way that doesn't actually really dumb things down. Arcane is a phenomenal show, but the lowest common denominator outcome of these things is, again, we know that while people are binging our show, they're also on their phone or they're watching another screen. They're not paying attention 100%. Therefore, add things so that they're not going to get lost. Roll boss, 1 hour 50 minutes from the time of this message. Alright, 53 minutes. Echo, set a 28-minute timer.
28 minutes. Starting now.
Boom. Thank you, Shadow Mage. So the issue is not that long-form content is dying. It's that people are not paying attention. They're consuming long-form content in a more passive and less active way. Especially younger generations. In D3, there are the Rainbow Goblin Butterfly Wings. Never got those. Those kind of aspirational is okay. True, yes. But also not much of it can be frustrating for players like me. It looks like a casual, not super hardcore. So the thing is, Rainbow Wings, you don't know about Rainbow Wings, right? Unless, like, you have to go out of your way to find out about them, right? Titan Quest 2 closed playtest started today. Well, 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 well. Looking for Titans. Be among the first to play Titan Quest 2. Head over to the game store page on Steam and request access to be among the chosen ones who will don their armor, wield their weapons, and battle the forces of chaos. This is when early access begins. Cool. This was just posted today, this morning, looks like. Travis saying Corpse Bow, Fallen Lunatic, First Mate are all pretty specific. Who's the First Mate again? Doubleday saying PvP often just feels like soccer boppers nowadays. What is soccer boppers? I'm not familiar with this term. Is that like Biardini? Are there any good PvP in MMOs? I don't know the answer to that. I don't play MMOs. What I like more about Heroes of the Storm versus other MOBAs. I really liked the different objectives on the different maps. I really liked the more team-focused gameplay, which is exactly what a lot of League of Legends players didn't like. Like, I was playing with a buddy who was like a really good like League of Legends player, and he hated that he couldn't like solo carry the team. Yeah. Those are the big two ones. I mean, also, I like that I got in on the game on the ground floor, so there wasn't like, oh, here's 200 characters and you don't know any of them, you gotta learn them all. I like that I recognized all the characters because they're all Blizzard characters, but I mean the main thing really was the more team-focused and objective-oriented gameplay. Like, I like that you had to play the map objective, and if you ignored the objective, you would lose. Khaled is saying, speaking of clarity, can they just remove the attack power stat on the character screen? Goodness. Oh, man. So I get why it's here, but it is so misleading. So for anyone who doesn't know, attack power is basically a meaningless stat. Someone could have half the attack power of you and deal 10 times the damage as you. Attack power just cannot factor in the myriad situational bonuses that apply to specific skills. Attack power is for a usage case. Attack power is accurate for a usage case that is almost never applicable. The only thing attack power is good for is seeing the number go up and making you feel good. Which will generally happen as your gear gets better. So it is a general indication of your gear getting better, but not an actual indication of you dealing more damage. And it's been this way since Diablo 3, sadly. What are my thoughts on Daredevil Born Again? I have no thoughts. I haven't watched any Daredevil media. The last Daredevil media that I watched was with Ben Affleck in it. Madam Madix saying, I'd love to have the active skills branch more. The first branch has only a single option. What do you think about it? Yeah, it would be nice. If our options are pretty limited. Would be nice. Honestly, like, I would get rid of enhanced altogether. Like, I would just go straight to a dual branch, and then maybe another branch would be nice. Something like that. Or imagine it's like D3 where it just branches into 5 options right away. I think that would feel like we have much more skill expression in the skill tree. I like that they've done stuff with the passive skills to make that a little bit more interesting, but yeah, there's not like a whole lot of pathing that actually happens in the skill tree. Or a lot of different choices you can make for your skills. Most of your customization is in your gear as opposed to your skill tree. I can name a few monsters. Tomb Lord, it spawns as a boss in a dungeon. Tomb Lord also spawns. Blood Bishop, true, yeah. It's Blood Bishops and Tomb Lords all the way down. Jehao almost always carried his own team. Oh, really? Huh. Enjoy, Shavel. Joseph saying, in Season 7, most of my XP level advances were via side quests. I stacked them up and grinded them. No time. I was level 60, more easy than grinding solo. Your thoughts? I mean, that... I don't know. I didn't try leveling via side quests. I can't imagine that it's more efficient, but if you found it was efficient, then that means they're giving good XP. So, that's good then. It means it's viable. Shadowmage saying, the problem with more skills is Diablo is too much of a meta-based game. More options won't matter. Everyone will still be using the same meta build from their favorite streamer/website. So I think just what I would personally like... So what I really liked in D3 was... Like, here's a skill, and, like, I can drastically alter it in, like, 5 different ways. Whereas... even the 2 options that we get don't really change the skills generally in any meaningful way that I feel like I'm making like a build-defining choice. Like, I think most builds you can kind of swap whatever and maybe it'll be a bit less effective, but it's not going to be like, I'm really changing my blood wave. Like, in D3, the skill runes were like really gameplay changing. They could... Some of them would be more similar, but some would be like wildly different, right? Like, turning Arcane Orb into Frozen Orb. Or turning Arcane Orb into Arcane Orbit. Like, these are things now that they're kind of reserving for aspects in D4. Oricon saying, whatever happened to the idea of skills visually upgrading with ranks? Blizzard talked about it a lot leading up to Season 4, and there were some examples like Fireball, but then nothing. So my understanding is that they are in the game. And I guess we just level up our skills so fast that we don't really get to experience the difference. But yeah, you're right that it's something they really like kind of spoke about a lot. And we don't feel it in practice. Hey, cheers, mathematics. In Season 1, there was no far view in the game options. True, yeah, we have a zoomed out view. It improved, but still, in my opinion, the view is too close for the crazy amount of clutter. What baffles me about class balance is how hard is it to take 6 devs and assign 1 class to each per season. That dev is then responsible for that class and communicates with the class lead. I think that's what they do, to be honest. I could be wrong, but I think that's what they do. It might be that one person is responsible for 2 classes, but I do think they kind of... Because sometimes you can even feel that way, where I felt like there's past seasons where we get like the mid-season patch or a season patch and it'd be like, it feels like some of these classes are being worked on by different devs. Like, it definitely felt like the Sorcerer was being handled by a different person than like some other class. Flexible saying, I believe the side quests are there for those who like to immerse themselves in the lore. I agree. Yeah. I do get that sense as well.
It seems we're leaving.
Gromass saying, as a big fan of Dota back in the day of Warcraft 3, I played a lot of MOBAs since, and Heroes of the Storm, while they have the best character selection of all time, I never understood how to play, or at least how to get good. I don't know why I was a decent player of other MOBAs, but this one confused me. So, in my opinion, it's because you have to play the objectives, and I think that's something that just a lot of other MOBA players aren't accustomed to. If you don't play the objective, you're just not going to win. Outside of the enemy team being absolute dog shit. Oh, Nem, when you say Jehao would carry, did you mean like carry by doing the objectives or carry by just constantly killing the other team? Because maybe that's the difference, is like my friend wanted to feel like he can just go and kill the other team and... Oh, you can carry him though, I don't know. Maybe the game changed over time, but at least at launch, it definitely felt like you couldn't have one guy carry a whole team. If by carry you mean like he was leading the team and telling them what to do, like being the team leader, the shot caller and stuff like that, then sure, but like my friend wanted to just literally do everything himself. He wanted to be a lone wolf that could just do, like, you know, do all the objectives himself, do whatever, you know, himself. I mean, also the game was young, so it's not like anyone was really an expert at the game yet. What I'm saying is only about 10% of the players think for themselves. Most people just copy-paste builds. This is true. But here's the thing, right? So even if you're going to copy-paste a build, at least, well, you know, this season, this skill operates differently than the next season, like... Because, I mean, we can take that logic and say, okay, just have 2 classes then. It doesn't matter because everyone's going to just pick whatever Rob says is best. So it's not about meta, it's just about variety, right? So I don't think it's that people want to have a million different choices in one season, but they don't want to just have to repeat the same thing season after season. Also, I don't think 90% of players follow just the best build. I think 90% of players, or I don't know what percentage, a good percentage of players follow a build guide, but I don't think it's the majority who follow the best build. So I think as long as there are like multiple S tier or even A tier builds, a lot of players will pick a build that they like, they'll follow a build guide, but something that is fun for them and enjoyable for them within their playstyle and their class preference. So the more options and choices there are of viable or very strong builds. Oh. I'm not gonna make it on time. Free Blood Maiden, Free Blood Maiden, come on. Goblin! No! No! Is that worth losing the Blood Maiden? I might still be able to make the Blood Maiden. Okay, you gotta pay attention to Blood Maiden to not die to her fire garbage. Fire garbage, fire garbage! Fire garbage! So many different fire garbages. More fire garbage. Nope! Endless fire garbage. Where'd she go? Fire garbage. She's spawning these things more often. Blood Maiden down. Whew. And my stupid Hell Tide isn't working again. Fucking. John Dudley saying, I don't know if our attention spans are less than what they were in the past, or if we just have better metrics to be able to track engagement. So it's a good point. I obviously prefer data over anecdotes, but I mean, anecdotally, I think a lot of people would say that they have a lot harder time resisting the urge to, like, check their phone while engaged in something that requires a lot of your attention. Like, we have more access than ever to things that can distract us from paying attention to one single thing. Be it watching a Twitch stream while playing a game, right? You're doing two things at the same time. Be it watching Netflix while doing something. Be it popping up your phone while you're watching something. Like, there's just a lot more opportunity to be distracted with multiple things than in the past. I do get the sense that I feel like attention span is a skill. The ability to pay attention to one singular thing for a long time, I believe it is a skill, and I believe the less you practice it, the more you lose it. So I do think an attention span is something that can shorten or lengthen, right? I don't think it's something, you know, that you can permanently damage, but I do think you need to practice paying attention to one thing and resist the urge to not do so. And just with the amount that we are bombarded with ease of access to things that can disrupt our attention, it leads to us no longer practicing this skill that we once had, or to generations being raised without ever developing this skill. I am certain that anyone who plays Dungeons & Dragons has seen the rise of the smartphone be something that has been damaging to attention spans during the game, and, you know, many tables outright ban phones. And it's not because players, like, are not having fun or they're not, you know, engaged with the game, but when you have that thing there and we are in this era of attention span destruction, we need to be basically put in a white room, stripped of distractions, so that our attention spans don't get, attention rather, doesn't get diverted. Hey, Conduit. On normal difficulty, it's actually really strong. Curious why you don't speak to Doomsayers and Helltide, considering they tend to spawn harbingers and goblins. Yo, what? Who does this? Doomsayers? Which are the Doomsayers? What are my thoughts on Uber Lilith? Even with the rework in Season 8, she still has no real purpose. They could have used her as the new Exalted Pinnacle boss instead of randomly introducing Belial. Yeah. Okay, this is a Doomsayer. Okay, so you're saying if I click on him, he's going to spawn a Goblin or a Harbinger? Okay, thank you. So, I'm not aware. I guess I didn't really get either that time, but I guess he has a good chance of doing so.
Bless you.
I don't have strong thoughts on Uber Lilith. I guess it'd be nice if they do something more with her. I don't super care either way. I just like I feel like there's a good amount of base content in the game that I guess there's always opportunity for more, but I guess it's a bit of shame that yeah, she's not really used for much. Like, you have this content in the game that no one really engages with, maybe more than once a season. So there's opportunity there to, yeah, make the content something that is more repeatable. Also makes, you know, more sense to recycle content than work on new content. But, I mean, here's the thing, right? If they didn't add Belial and it was just Uber Lilith, like, everyone would bitch and be like, oh, we're just getting recycled content this season. That said, they could have done Belial and also added Uber Lilith. Ooh, I nearly died. They could have done both. Is my point. Have cake, eat as well. You know. I really like this Avarice power. I think it's really cool. Spawning it constantly. Because I'm popping my Iron Maiden, right? And that it's free to cast and it generates me essence. So I'm just like giga overblasting it. Because my Avarice things spawn whenever I go above my essence cap. Tournaments. Okay, Hell's Champion, here we go. Hell's Champion. Okay, harder fight. Still don't know. How many of these left? Travis saying, I feel like 20% doing the single build with like 85% following any build guide, and the last 50% just figuring things out themselves. Yeah, so like 20%, maybe even 10% follow like the best build. 15% figure things out themselves, with the majority just following a build guide, maybe not the best build guide. Yeah, I agree with that. Doomsayer, the dude's kneeling in the circles. Thank you, Travis. Okay. There's an interesting thread on the Diablo 4 subreddit that says, unpopular opinion, but the difficulty rework is a good thing. Might want to check it out when you can. I think it's a good thing. I mean, yeah. I'm on board with it. I didn't realize it was an unpopular opinion. Well, actually, no, I knew it would be an unpopular opinion, but yeah. Oh. That's it? You just gain damage reduction? Cool. I'll take it. Ooh, it's kind of interesting. But I would lose more minions, and I don't want to lose more minions. I do want more damage, though. It's 10% more damage. I'll hold off for a more significant damage bump.
How can I help?
Echo, stop. 5 minutes till world. Oh, 25 minutes to world boss. Wait, what? 25 minutes to world boss? Did I set the wrong timer? Echo, set a 20-minute timer.
20 minutes, starting now.
That was weird. Huh? I either set the wrong timer or I had some other timer going off that I didn't expect. Yeah, okay. What's up, Jay Lester? Stuck at Paragon 277 for 3 weeks now. Been running Pit 120s farming content, stuck on 3/4 of a bar. Sent a ton of bug reports. It seems that Blizzard doesn't care about players. Holy shit, like your XP bar isn't moving at all. That's whack. Whoa. That's crazy. Damn. Wow. Okay, I think I did all the bounties here. I don't know if there's any more bounties in that zone. I'll go take a look. Won't budge at all. Dang, wow. I'm saying you try to make call-outs on what to do, calling the shots as you said, also knowing a lot about the game, when to do what, and was I would argue above average player. Yeah, I mean, if he's shot calling and like if you're leading the team and the team is doing stuff, it's not the same as you doing everything yourself, right? And that's what my friend wanted. Like, my friend did not want to communicate with his teammates. He wanted to be a lone wolf that could literally just do everything himself if he was skilled enough. Rune. Yeah, raid leader does not mean carry. Yeah, it means you're an excellent leader. So I don't know what the equivalent. I think in League of Legends it's called what, ADC. Like I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in League of Legends, like depending on the role you have on your team, you could literally, like the rest of your team could stay AFK in town and like you could do everything yourself and win the game basically if you are good enough. Which generally is not possible in Heroes of the Storm. I agree that more content is being created for lower attention spans and dumbed down. Also agree that this is being catered to younger audiences, so yes, we're all doomed. Just saying the content that is still being produced and thriving. Thorn Liberty has a good PvP, has not complained over the like progression systems. Yeah, okay. So I mean I'll grant it. If your message is that it's not all doom and gloom for those of us who enjoy longer form content that is not dumbed down for low attention spans, then I'll appreciate and accept your optimism. And I guess at the end of the day, as long as we could still find an audience for what we want to appreciate, that's all that really matters. I guess my concern is kind of more in the long term of where we're headed. Like, will we reach a point where it's going to be harder to find, you know, like a movie that doesn't insult our intelligence by having the main character say, "I'm opening the door now." But definitely no reason to be all doom and gloom as of late. You're right, Mr. Dove. A lot of players have this XP bug. That is insane. Wow. That's crazy. Holy cow. Like, I know leveling slows down, but it shouldn't completely stop. Like, you mouse over, you see the number, you go kill monsters, and that number does not budge at all? That's insane. The way you play League is you go mid, you roam around from top to bottom and steal all the kills. You finish your build in 18 minutes. You're able to one-shot the entire enemy team, but your entire team keeps getting killed because you stole all the kills from them, and eventually the enemy team catches up to you and starts killing you as well. You lose the game with stats 25-0, and you get to complain about dog shit team. While it was your fault they lost, but you have good stats. Right, yeah, so in Heroes of the Storm, everyone levels up together, right? That's the thing as well. League is more like your personal skills level your character up. And so, like, kill stealing is a thing, or feeding the ADC kind of comes to mind as some term that sounds correct, maybe. I mean, it's literally in the name. ADC is what? Attack, defend, carry? Like, they're meant to be the carry of the team. Is that what ADC stands for? No, attack damage carry. Attack damage carry? Not attack defense doesn't make sense. Attack damage carry, right? How did that term even originate? So bizarre. Nope, nope. Oh gosh. Viper saying I'm sometimes playing a B or C tier build and trying to make them fun and good. There you go, yeah. There's a good number of people that are like contra meta. Good evening, the Butcher. How you doing, man? I don't have enough cinders. I wish there was some way to know that. XP bar is just frozen. Wait until you restart it. Oh, so restarting fixes it? NPeeb saying, overall I love the D for ambiance and premise, but when I have loot puked at me every step, even for the most mundane accomplishment, I missed D2, D2R, where it was a grind and good loot was rarer. Yeah, I feel the same way, man. I think the D4 team went for a more dopamine-centric approach, a la mobile game, to presumably cast a wider net. So, NPeebs, Season 8 is looking more optimistic in that regard. Like, right now, I'm not getting good loot just pooped at me constantly or puked at me constantly. I don't know how it's going to be once I reach endgame. I'm concerned, but I would say the early game, they have, in my opinion, the 1 to 60 at least is back in a good place, in my opinion. Adam told us that a public roadmap will be shown before Season 8 goes live. What are the top 3 things you'd like to see? That they're adding what I refer to as a endgame meta progression system. Most people would just refer to this as the endgame that they think is lacking. That'd be the number 1 thing. What else? Maybe it would be nice to see some events that are more exciting than the kind of events we've been getting. So I feel like the kind of events that we get so far are reward-centric events where... Sorry, when I say reward-centric, where the main point to do the event is to benefit from the, like, increased loot drops or increased rewards or stuff like that. I would like to see events that are just fun. They could still be rewarding, but that you would engage in this event even if it was not rewarding just for the fun of it. For instance, Diablo 3 has the Darkening of Tristram. There's no inherent reward. I mean, the reward is just the same reward you get for playing the game otherwise, but it's just this cool thing that they add to the game. I like to see events like that where it's like, this event is just fun. I want to play this event because it's fun. So I guess that's 2, that'll be 3. I mean, the number 1 is like by far the most significant. Maybe some class reworks. Like, I think it would be nice if every season... So, I think the Spiritborn is the best designed class in the game. From a design perspective, maybe not a balance perspective, or at least at launch on a balance perspective, but from a design perspective. And I think them revisiting every class and giving every class the kind of love that the Spiritborn has, because the Spiritborn got to benefit from the learnings of, you know, another year plus of development of the game. So I think getting to go back and revisit some of the core class concessions and design decisions and see, is there ways that we can either rework or improve things beyond just balance changes. You know, maybe it's time to look into a 3rd enchantment slot for sorcerers. I don't know. It's a pretty basic example, but the barbarians, you know, weapon whatever system, is that fulfilling the design purpose that it was designed to fulfill, or should we revisit that from the ground up and give it something more interesting? these are all questions worth exploring, you know? So I guess those are my top 3. I don't know, just kind of off the top of my head. Maybe I'm forgetting something obvious. So world boss should be in about 12 minutes. Well, I didn't check what world boss it is. So from levels 50 to 60, itemization starts to get crazy. So I'm looking forward to seeing, maybe I'll get some blue drops that I'll actually equip, because they're going to be so much more powerful. We'll see. We shall see. Level 50. It begins. Are the 2 Joes still in leadership or focusing on Diablo 5? We've not heard about what they're up to. Obviously, we haven't seen them in a while. My guess would be they're on expansion 3. But we don't know. It will be nice in the roadmap to find out what they're up to, yeah. Make a tower defense mode. Yeah, like, you know, I think with these kind of like short-lived events, they can get creative and do like silly stuff like that, right? Add a tower defense mode as a 1 week or 2 week event. Why not? If people don't like it, they don't play it. If people like it, maybe you'll bring it back more often. Maybe you make it a recurring event. Maybe, you know, build it up into something more. Who knows? Like, I love that GGG and their seasonal themes sometimes tries absolutely batshit insane stuff. They've made a city builder in their game, and it works. And maybe it wouldn't have worked, and that would have been okay, but at least they tried it, you know? You know, PoE, for instance, actually as an April Fool's joke, added a Battle Royale mode. I think it's actually awesome. That's a fun way to add PvP. Hey, cheers, Mr. Love. Oh, wait, are you... Okay, if you are allowed to, tell me how Titan Quest 2 is. Once you get to start trying it. Saying, alternatively, you can main support and carry your entire team so hard, especially your ADC. You'll save them from every mistake they make. You'll literally hand them kills on a simple play. They'll make sure there's no possibility. Okay, so there's lots of opportunity to solo carry a team in WoW. Easy. So if you want to be able to copy your character over, account copy in PTR, on the screen where it says create new character, there's a little button to the right of it. That button is the account copy feature. It is not clear and ought to be more clear.
A memory.
Ooh, birthday dinner! Hey, take care, Shadow Mage.
Something demonic is trying
Yeah, I was thinking it's so hard to keep everyone engaged in D&D now. There's definitely a lot more people on phones than in the past, yeah. At some point it was just like, okay, you have your... The guy who brought his laptop is distracted. Now it's everyone has a computer with them all the time because it's in their pocket. Also, nowadays, people have greater excuses to not be able to put their phones away, I guess. Curious, with a serious question, why can't we just have D3 conduit? Yeah. My question exactly. My question exactly. Oh, I am full. Oops. Doomsayers are the guys that scream, help me? Oh, I don't hear things. I don't hear things. I gotta listen now. Okay, looks like I got enough mats for the rest of my life. Blood mist triggers corpse explosion on surrounding corpses. Well, 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 well. Yeah, no. Is this worth losing 2 essence per second? Maybe. I get to keep my 2 essence per second there. Just go for big bonks. Just go for the big bonkeronis. Essence per second. It's level 49, so we're on the cusp. Echo, stop. World boss, gang. World boss. That is in 4 minutes. Let's go. Almost forgot. Underseed, I just did 1 for the quest, and I got 4 legendaries. Boom. Triple tap. How you doing? There's the same question. I understand the purpose of Daryl, Daryl, and Lilith, and Mephisto via Diablo 4 story lore, but how is Belial connected to the game story? We don't know yet. We're gonna find out. Because they don't add the story part of the season in the PTR. Right now, there is no connection, so we'll have to see what the season story says. A goblin! Odious Collector, yes! See, that is a feel-good moment that just happened right there. That was a feels-good moment that just happened. I didn't get any masterworking mats, but hey, still. I got some mats. That was a feels-good moment, man. Yeah, I'm so much happier with the state of leveling right now in Season 8. It's Avarice again. You know what? I'll do it just for the sake of it. Ooh, am I going to do it by myself? Avarice versus Avarice fight about to happen here. So really the reason for doing the world boss would be to collect powers. I already have the Avarice power, but whatever. It's okay. That's fine. How are enemy shields feeling? I've not been disturbed by any enemy shields. I might not have encountered any, I don't know, but Season 7 enemies were loaded with shields. And those shields were like, they felt overpowered. Kindred saying, I feel like they wasted Lilith. If you watch the reveal trailer for D4, she was supposed to be so important, but she's been relegated to a C tier ahead of her dad. Seems a shame. If you mean narratively, I think narratively, she served her role very well. If you mean like, as a boss in the game, in the end game, yeah, she's not a big presence, but I feel she was very important to the story of D4. Arguably, D4 is the story of Lilith and Anarius. Still SOL on the Sol rune. Oh, man. Adney saying, how about the old members of the dev team? Joe Shelley, Joe Bipora, are they still in leadership roles? Or are they focusing on D5? Oh, okay, you must have popped by YouTube after that. Yeah, so we don't know. I'm guessing they're on the expansion, because we know that expansion 1 was worked on by a different game director. Brent Gibson, right? So I'm assuming that they kind of disappeared to work on Herald of Darkness. Expansion 2. Have I interacted with magics and rares differently this season? No. That doesn't really bother me, though. The drop rates of legendaries is lower. Once I've gone legendaries, I've not really gone back to rares. But it's not raining legendaries. Now, that said, I just hit 50, so now I'm about to get gear that might incentivize me to go for yellows or even blues. Because for those who don't know, the drops between levels 50 and 60, the item level ramps up in power very quickly. So if I were to get an item power, whatever, 600 item or whatever it might be, even if it's a blue, I might equip it. We'll find out soon, I guess. Lavazar saying, for a second I thought Echo was a cat and it was misbehaving and you were telling it to stop. I do kind of talk to my Alexa like I'm scolding her. It's because we have a friend named Alexi, so we couldn't call our Alexa Alexa, because then anytime we would say Alexi, it would activate. Whereas the word echo, E-C-H-O, it doesn't come up as often, I guess. I was also surprised by that, curious. I think it's a Necromancer only aspect. The 25% damage reduction, yeah. Oh. Nearly got me there. Got him. Yeah, the boss was worth doing. It didn't take too long, and I got a. Ooh! Hey, look at this! My second unique. Penitent Greaves. Look at this. Look at this. You leave behind a trail of frost. I don't know that. You deal more damage to chilled enemies. So this right here is basically a 23% damage multiplier, right? I am gonna grab this, yep. Cool. That was my second unique drop. Very nice. Dave Morrison saying my Echo keeps replying to you. Echo, play Despacito. Oh, fuck. I was trying to troll you. I trolled myself. Echo, stop. Echo, stop before we get copyright striked. Oh, shit. Oh, God. Jeez. The self troll. Oh gosh. Oh man. ADCs are the dumbest least skilled players. Thunderbun, 60-month resub. Appreciate ya. Hope you're doing well. Level progression so far feeling great. So far feeling great. I've gotten 2 legendary drops right now. They've been awesome both times. It's been great. I'm once again happy with the state of item dropping. Again, we'll see once we get to Tournament 1 though. See if that stays the case. At the start of League of Legends, they were pretty much all ranged characters with AD damage, physical damage. They're all about fully buffing their basic attacks. What is AD damage? The carry part, nobody knows. It's the supports that carry the ADC. Okay. This in Season 7, the bird is locked behind objectives on ET4. If they do something similar in Season 8, they'll just be pushing more towards meta builds. Yes. They cannot, if T4 is aspirational, they cannot put season journey steps in T4. They just can't. AD is attack damage. Oh! ADC does not... Oh my god. I thought like attack, damage, carry. Like I attack, I damage them, I carry the team. It's AD like... Attack damage is a kind of damage. It's physical damage as opposed to spell damage? Oh my god. I never thought of that. Okay, AP is ability power. That's magic damage archetype. AD and AP. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, honestly, that would never occur to... I never played League of Legends, so... Oh, that's so funny. Okay. You think D4 would ever add mana progression similar to, in essence, to Pee-wee's passive Atlas tree? I freaking hope so. Ajeds. I freaking hope so. Siri, play Despacito. You said it, John. You said it. You gave me that in. I mean, what am I gonna do? Not do it? Did I get a second power from the world boss? No, no. Every world boss just has one power. So Avarice has the Avarice power. The only boss that has 2 powers is Belial. He has Eye Beams and Crusty Decoy. What's up, Crew Hall TV? Argo's saying, not saying this is a good idea, but what are your thoughts on them making Season 8 6 months instead of 3 months and then doing all the quality of life they have been doing, but then be able to add actually new content or things along those lines? Can we present that as an either-or scenario? So either Season 8 is 6 months, and they get to do all the quality of life stuff, add new content and things along those lines. Like, so, I guess maybe the question is... Okay, now, how do I phrase my question? Okay, so if situation A is Season 8 is going to be 6 months long and they finish fixing the game, i.e. no more redoing stuff anymore after that, and then going forward it's always new content and seasons, versus what they've been doing now where they're season after season adding stuff and reworking stuff, adding and reworking. Maybe I would be okay. I think I'd want it to be closer to the release of the expansion though. Like maybe the last 6 months prior to the expansion release. As opposed to randomly in the middle. Because if you have a 6 month season, the game dies basically, right? And if Season 9 then isn't strong enough to bring back people, the next thing that would bring back people would be an expansion. Did another Undercity run, got 7 legendaries in Undercity. Who'd have thought that adjusting loot and leveling pace would add incentive on doing Undercity, almost like it was supposed to be when they introduced it, right? There you go, alright. You got also unique. Wow. You got the Penitent Greaves too. Dota does have some incredible things for their seasons. They added a complete auto shooter game with their game last season. Damn, look at that. No, I think there were 2 other people in that fight with me, curious. In the end, at the start I was alone, but yeah. How do you level up the boss powers? By doing the activity that gets you Spectral Ash. You basically, when you kill Baby Belial, he drops Spectral Ash to level up the powers. Similar to Witch powers. Oricon saying people would 100% complain about a lack of content if a season lasts 6 months. No way that's viable. Whatever quality of life there is can be done in future seasons or mid-season patches. Yeah, I mean, 6 months of one season would mean I'm not playing the game for like 5 months, basically. Grayson saying, personal opinion, if a season lasted 4 months, that would be long enough, but not too long to focus on the biggest issues with the game. Yeah, like a slight extension of the season, I think, is okay. What do you think about Belial contacting the D4 story and lore? Like, how do I think he's going to come into the story? It could be anything because he's not being worked in as a part of the main storyline. Because he's just a seasonal thing, like, any seasonal theme is just kind of like a bottle episode that is disconnected from everything. Or, I mean, you could connect it to things, but like, ultimately, it's skippable content is what it's designed to be. So, he can't have any long-lasting consequences on the story. I mean, while we know he's being permanently added to the game, so I guess there's gonna be something, but it's not gonna be like, oh, like, expansion 2, its story is somehow impacted by having Belial appear. So, I really don't know. It could be literally anything. I wouldn't even know how to begin speculating on how he's gonna come back. How you doing, Anthony? That's saying 6 month season is too long, 4 month season is too long, with current progression and lack of metagame progression. Yeah, so what Argos was saying, like, I think he meant just like a one-time, like, make season 8 6 months. Not like all seasons are forever 6 months. Like, kind of like just, you know, accept having a bunch of dead time just so that they can get all the fixes out of the way at once. Is I think what he meant. Oh, nice, John Mark. There you go. Who's the intended audience in longer seasons? Most people are done in a month max. Oh yeah. So no, again, this is I didn't explain it right. I think it was really just for the one-time thing, not to appeal to people, just to afford the dev team enough time, like a kind of a breathing room to really focus in on fixing things, or adding a bunch of stuff or something. Argo saying, yeah, that makes sense. Feel like seasons they are just being forced to do a lot of fixes or slight reworks. Would assume the expansion could come with more massive changes. Yeah. Still feels like they are playing catch up to fix old systems and not add never seen before systems or content. Yeah, you know, I fully agree. That's it. Like, I can't wait for the point where they feel like we no longer need to rework or fix existing stuff. It's all good. You know, like, little balance tweaks here and there is one thing, but, like, yeah, I look forward to when they feel like the foundation is solid enough to just build on, as opposed to constantly reworking foundational items. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the roadmap. I'm ambivalent towards it. I have mixed emotions. I am looking forward to it, and I also fear it, because worst case scenario, they come up with a roadmap that feels empty or insignificant, and then it's D4 bad, D4 has no future. Like, it is possible to reveal a roadmap and then be like, we shouldn't have revealed the roadmap at all. And I just really hope that's not the case. I really hope it's going to be a good roadmap that is going to bring hope and positivity and not negativity and regret. Top 3 things on roadmap, I want that, and so I mean it's not going to happen, but like I like to see when they're adding a endgame meta progression system, class reworks. Actually, class reworks is my number 3. My number 2 was fun events, fun exciting events that we would want to partake in, not because they're rewarding, but because they're fun things to do, like Darkening of Tristram and D3 as an example. You can still make them rewarding, but not that the reward is the main thrust of why you're doing it. The main thrust of why you're doing it is because it's fun. So it's not something that you're going to do just for the purposes of farming your thing and then you're out. You'd actually have reason to keep wanting to do it. I doubt that's what happened, Curious, but who knows? Could be, I guess. Joe's saying, be with me here. Interesting season theme. If they bring Belial, what about season that they bring back Deckard Cain, then have some kind of connection to Diablo 4 story? Or Wirt from Diablo 1? So my concern with bringing in any NPC via a seasonal theme is that that kind of tells us this character will never be important in the real story of the game. So if it's like Wirt, who is just kind of a side character, like I'm fine with that. Seeing Deckard Cain relegated to a season theme, I mean, honestly, like he doesn't have to be part of the main story, so I guess that's fine as well. I guess the reason why for Belial I'm kind of sad that he's a season theme is I really thought all of the great evils would be introduced over time via main story expansions. Like, I feel like, again, being relegated to a season theme is kind of... It's going to be a footnote in the history of D4, and like, for instance, when I'm going to be telling this, when I'm going to be making lore videos for D4's story, I'm not going to be talking about season themes. Like, these are things that are not really... Like, I don't even know if they're canon, to be honest. I guess maybe they're canon, but it just doesn't feel like... It's a footnote in the story, is what it is, right? Feels like Belial got demoted in D4. Yeah, it feels like a demotion, exactly. Leave Cain alone, he's already causing earthquakes by rolling in his grave. Boom. There you go. Alrighty, folks. Well, that's going to be our stream for today, but we're going to thank everybody for coming on by. We're going to thank our mods for overseeing things. We're going to give a big thanks to our supporters, and thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of your week, folks. Stay tuned for the Saturday news video, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.